Now, representing all of our military men and women today, it is my very special honor to introduce you to Master Sergeant retired Leroy Petry, Medal of Honor recipient for gallantry and courageousness at the risk of his life above and beyond the call of duty. Master Sergeant Petry grew up in New Mexico and enlisted in the U.S. Army in 1999. It was a goal of his since he was 7 years old. He volunteered for the 75th Ranger Regiment because of its exemplary reputation. Master Sergeant served 2 tours in Iraq and 6 in Afghanistan. His awards and decorations are too numerous to enumerate. Sergeant Petry is stationed at Joint Base Lewis McChord in Washington, where he currently lives with his wife, Ashley, and 4 children. In May of 2008, as a weapons squad leader with D Company 2nd Battalion, 75th Ranger Regiment, the Rangers embarked on a risky daylight operation in the vicinity of the Petrie province in Afghanistan. Staff Sergeant Petry moved to clear the courtyard of a house that potentially contained high-value combatants. While crossing the courtyard, Staff Sergeant Petry and another ranger were engaged and wounded by automatic weapons fire from enemy fighters. Still under enemy fire and wounded, Staff Sergeant Petry led the other ranger to cover. He then reported the situation and engaged the enemy with a hand grenade, providing suppression as another ranger moved to their position. The enemy quickly responded by maneuvering closer and throwing grenades. The first grenade explosion knocked his 2 fellow rangers to the ground and wounded them with shrapnel. A second grenade landed only a few feet away from them. Realizing the instant danger, Staff Sergeant Petry unhesitatingly and with complete disregard for his safety deliberately and selflessly moved forward, picked up the grenade, and in an effort to clear the immediate threat, threw the grenade away from his fellow rangers. As he was releasing the grenade, it detonated, amputating his right hand at the wrist and further injuring him with multiple shrapnel wounds. Although picking up and throwing the live grenade grievously wounded Staff Sergeant Petry, his gallant act undeniably saved his fellow rangers from being severely wounded or killed. Despite the severity of his wounds, Staff Sergeant Petry maintained the presence of mind to place a tourniquet on his right hand and communicated the situation by radio in order to coordinate support for both himself and his fellow rangers. Staff Sergeant Petry's extraordinary heroism and devotion to duty are in keeping with the highest traditions of military service and reflect great credit on himself, the 75th Ranger Regiment, and the United States Army. It's very stirring for me. Master Sergeant retired Petry, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. See, that's the standing ovation I wanted for our troops and our veterans, not for me. It was never about me. My whole life, it was never about me. I was never alone. But I want to thank the host committee for having us here. Love the centerpieces. Wasn't sure if to look at it or eat it. But it all looked delicious. Everything was great. The band was amazing. And to all the dignitaries that are here, I'm not going to recognize individually because we're all supposed to be leaders in this room, correct? All right. I'm glad he got that part out of the way because I don't like to talk about myself or my action. That was one action. My son wrote a paper, and I read it the other day, and I was shocked. He was talking about a hero and how that word gets thrown around way too much nowadays. And a hero is a person in the moment of the action. At that time, they were called to do, and they stepped up to the plate and they did what needed to be done. That some others might not have done or might do, but that person that had that opportunity to be that hero at that moment in time stepped up to the plate. And then I thought about a movie, Sandlot, good old movie. And I remember a saying from that movie where they said, heroes get remembered, but legends never die. And I got my own heroes, so I guess they must be legends, because legends aren't just a hero in the moment. They're a hero the rest of their lives. They continue to try to live a good life and continue to be helpful to others. And you don't need to be given accolades to be a hero to somebody. The President Obama said it during my ceremony. Our heroes are all around us. That could be someone individually helping somebody when they're having a tough day. You guys coming together as leaders collectively, like you were saying, sir, nonpartisan, to make a better California for everyone that lives here. I'm not a resident, but I come here all the time. I have friends and family here, and I've met a whole lot more friends today. So thank you for this opportunity to be here with you all. Honesty is the most important virtue one can possess or share with yourself and with others. It's tough because everything that comes out of our mouths can be judged by someone. And they'll either agree with it, they'll dislike it, it's your words, it's your opinion, which we all talk about, our rights, freedom of speech, and freedom of opinions. Opinions are great if you have an open mind and you're willing to listen to the other person and show them respect. I hate to, like I said, that's what I have to offer you, my honesty. And I observe, and I watch, and I listen, and I ask questions, because I want to grow. You cannot grow without suffering. And when I was sitting up at my chair watching the chairman, everybody was just getting in, and it takes a while to calm down the room. And everybody, there's so much chatter. You could barely hear the chairman up here talking. I was like, wow, he's the chairman. Where's the respect? And I say that to you, it sounds blunt and mean, but we all got to gut check ourselves and test ourselves every single day. Am I doing the right thing? Am I paying the other people the respect that I want? All these values that we talk about, those are what's important. But like Elizabeth Taylor probably told her many suitors, I don't plan to keep you very long. So I'll be short. I base that off of outcomes. I don't really know if that's what she told them. Words can be used to hurt, help, but are only offensive if you give them the power to be as an individual. Mother's Day. I called my mom the other day, and I used to run to my mom and tell her, Mom, they're calling me names, or so-and-so hurt my feelings, or did this. And I was a lot shorter then, so she looked down at me and said, show me the blood. I was like, oh my God. That's when I realized my mom's not gonna solve all my problems my whole life. I can't rely on somebody to solve all my problems. Some things I have to work and do on my own, or at least give an effort and then ask for help. I told her, thank you, Mom, because you made me resilient. The Rangers just made it better. I realized that that's what it takes. People to take the first step forward of being a good person and say, I'm gonna try. Oh, but I need help. Oh, at least you're trying. I will help you because you're trying. It's all about character. Great leaders aren't perfect or born, they're taught. We have a program with the Medal of Honor Society we do. It's a free program. They use it a lot here in California, especially in Simi Valley with the youth, K to 12. And it's all free, but it teaches about values. Citizenship, honor, integrity, patriotism, courage, commitment. The things we want our kids to learn besides reading, writing, arithmetic. We want them to be good Americans. And they follow up with programs like Sentinels of Freedom and many others out there that continue to help them further their education, be better leaders, and not just stop because you got to the top of the chain, but continue to remember where you came from and talk to those lower levels. So many others are out there, but you got to do what the vet term, or vetum, I love that term because it talks about our vets and how important that is. And the digging in, that's what vets did. They dug in and really get to know who you're talking to, what you're getting involved with, and who you work for. and remember those things. Right now, the biggest threat in America it's not war, it's not global warming, it's not disease or anything else. The root of all of our problems in our country and why we are having such a difficult time right now is we're having an identity crisis, both individually and collectively. And I tell people, what are your priorities? We tend to unknowingly think that we're helping. Sometimes we actually enable people. What they need is more important than what they want or how they feel. We need to start catering to people's needs. What are their real needs? And not just what you see. Get to know that person. Okay, does this person really need this, or is it a want? And I was the tough dad. Like I said, I wanted my kids to be resilient. So I did the old saying, put out both your hands when they'd say, I want this or I want that. Put out both hands. Poop in one hand, want in the other, see which fills up first. Because that's what I was told. And it's rough, but that's what builds resiliency. That's what makes, like you said, sir, nobody gave it to you. You were elected, but you fought for it because you knew what you wanted and you knew what was right. It didn't matter right or left. And a lot of times we segregate ourselves in this country. We make people choose. Are you Republican or are you Democrat? And everybody wants their own box now. And I said, I'm the guy that checks the other box and I write in trail mix. I said, that's the only thing. Nothing else matters besides being an American and making the communities I live in better. People need tough leaders who will be fair and impartial in both reward and punishment. Ethics and values are important in decision-making. Always have good intentions in your thoughts and in your actions. Don't focus on our differences. Focus on what makes us united. Quit trying to divide us. Look for the good in people. There's good in every single person. It's a matter of how much commitment you're willing to put in the time and effort to draw that out of them. Because if you only see the negative in them, then they won't be around you very long, I guarantee it. COVID and 9/11, both things that isolated us in this country. After 9/11, a lot of the young kids don't remember, so I have to educate them and tell them shortly after 9/11, nobody was going to large crowds, gatherings, concerts, anything like that, because it was a fear, not of a virus, but of terrorism. And the young men and women in this country that stood up and took the fight to the enemy let us relax again. And then when the next pandemic hit, COVID, everybody's like, oh my God, there's a shortage on toilet paper. And to all us veterans and military that were deployed, we're like, yeah, we were burning our own poo in a 55-gallon drum at one point, so toilet paper is the least of our worries. And then up where I live in Washington State, we got the murder hornets, and you start seeing the crazy memes. What's a murder hornet and how much toilet paper do I need? And that's the thing, is that people have lost focus on their priorities. And sometimes we need to sit them down and refocus them. Say, hey, you're not gonna find inspiration all the time on TikTok. You're not gonna find it in a movie. Get out there and meet people and talk to people. The same stuff you complained about when you were locked up during COVID, get out there and do it. Give people a chance to surprise you, because there's greatness everywhere if you're willing to look. Those folks that stood up and did more for their country, that took that oath, and remember, all those citizens across America, that it's necessary to have an unwritten oath, to be your best and to do your best every day, and to have a positive effect on the people around you for all of us. That's why I served. That's why I continue to be all I can be. I love that motto. I'm glad they're bringing it back, because it wasn't about Leroy. It was about being my best for the ones to my right and to my left, and for my family, my friends, my country, all of them which I love. The problem we face now as our military and our society is that some people who will weaponize the very policies, procedures, unions, laws, rights that were put in place to protect them. Most of the time, it's for the sole purpose of self-interest, not the betterment of all. I have inclusion in my life all the time, but I base it off merit and character, nothing else. Our greatest resource we have is our youth. The ones that are willing to try, just need help, and the ones that are making an effort. Don't let them lose hope find them, give them leadership, support them. They will be both your employees, your employers, and more likely your consumers of your services and your goods. Plus, they're your neighbors in your community who tried to do more. Look for those ones that are giving the extra effort and push them up a little bit higher. Let them be the next leaders of inspiration. Leaders don't need titles or uniforms. When we switched over from the black beret to the tan beret, a lot of my fellow Rangers were complaining, we earned that, now they're gonna give it to the Army, yada, yada. And I said, it's just a headgear. It doesn't define the soldier underneath. The way you present yourself will always carry your character forward. And they don't need to know you're a Ranger. You just need to do your job. And it takes that sometimes, where you have to sit someone down and explain to them what's important, what are the priorities? Because they'll get lost. I don't keep up with the Kardashians. I don't follow the Real Housewives of anywhere. I don't even watch the news anymore because there's enough people in my life that'll tell me the news. Hey, did you hear this? Hey, did you hear that? And yeah, but I don't care. I care about what's important. But like a 21-year-old Captain Nathan Hale, who was a young age, gave his life in 1776, his last words were, I only regret that I have but one life to give my country. Be a good person. Do what you know is right in your soul. Have integrity, honesty, love, and laughter. Share your talents and time and money or whatever you have that's good, and inspire, mentor, and educate all until they prove you wrong. But don't give up. My brother was trying to help my younger brother one time, and he says, Leroy, you know what they say, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink. And I said, I wish I lived closer, because Leroy's philosophy is, you hold that horse's head underwater long enough, he'll take a drink. Don't give up on him. Sometimes you need humility, because at any time in your life, you could be the horse, and you gotta take that little drink, taste it. Even if you don't like it, at least you tasted it. Why wouldn't you want to get involved? You live here too, don't you? You can complain about things all the time, but if you don't try to make it better, then you're part of the problem. America will always need its sons and daughters to serve something greater than themselves. Every good citizen adds to the strength of our nation. Not everyone can serve in the military, but every one of us can be a patriot and do more good. Be a person worth serving for, be a person worth fighting for, be a person worth dying for. It's a sacrifice not only by the service member, but their entire family. Live an honorable life is how you can make it worth it to all of us. My son, a couple days after the ceremony, we're on Fox and Friends, 7 years old, and they pan over to him at the end of the couch and they said, how do you feel about your dad receiving the medal, going to the White House and meeting the president? I'm going, oh crap. What's he gonna say? This is live TV, and I'm looking down the couch, my eyeballs are like this, and he sits up a little bit straighter. He takes a deep breath, looks directly in the camera, and he said, I'm really proud of my dad, but I'm more happy that he saved some of his buddies and they're still alive. One's a cop in North Carolina, the other one has 6 kids out in Oregon area, and that's what I wanted, and that's what I continue to want, that the kids at 7 years old understand what life's about. It's not about accolades. It's not about getting your next house or your boat or your next thing that you're gonna have tangible that you can't take with you. It's about being a good person. It's about doing the right thing for the right reasons. And so, I'll stick to what I said. I'll try to keep it short. But when you go home, when we leave here, go out and buy those little green men. You know which ones I'm talking about. Ones that are on my socks. And I tell you that because give them to kids, give them to your kids, give them to grandkids, whoever, just give them to kids. Because I don't recall any kids anywhere ever going outside and saying, hey, let's play Air Force. Hey, let's play Navy. Hey, let's play Marines. Hey, let's play Space Force. They play Army. Thank you again for this opportunity. Rangers lead the way.